let's talk about then DEI, critical race theory, back it all the way even critical theory.
Yeah. So the answer to your question I was getting at was that you said that DEI is rooted in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I would push back and contend that it's rooted in discrimination. Mm-hmm. It's rooted in exclusion, and it's rooted in a fundamental pattern that we see in effectively communists to control. Mm-hmm. They want to exclude people. They want to define them by how they're different, and they want to prioritize one group of people over another. Mm-hmm. They use that policy, whether it's DEI or Title IX or any kind of element that it brushes up against, as a cudgel to control us, to control you. They want to control you. They want to control what you do, but they can't do that without controlling what you say and what you think. Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately how it's manifested. That's how I've seen it manifested on campuses across the country. And it's part of
from California, New Jersey, California, Texas, and Florida. So you've been, how many in Florida? 2 in Florida. So you've been at 5 major universities.
Yeah. And across the span of like what you might think of as like demographics, I've gone from public liberal arts colleges in New Jersey to the biggest, broadest education system there is, which is Cal State, which is, I think, 400 or 500,000 students system-wide. Mm-hmm. I was a tenure track professor there, was director of a neuroscience lab, and to the University of Texas, which is right there as like one of the biggest systems in the country. But that's a little bit different profile than the Cal State system. And now I've been at a private technical school in Florida as well. So this is a universal kind of like pattern that we see, which is this systemic use of things like Title IX and DEI as a weaponization. And so one of the things that have been popular in the news has been weaponization of government. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to see that that's being addressed at the tip of the spear, the highest political levels, because the government was weaponized against presidents and his cabinet and other people like that. But one of the things that, I always like to send as a message to the administration, pursuing the correction of those weaponizations, is the reminder that all the regular citizens are subjected to this weaponization too. Mm-hmm. This cudgel of discrimination and exclusion, that hurts everyday Joe. That hurts everybody at every no-name like regional state school. Mm-hmm. That the weaponization of government has to be investigated, or should be, against the regular people who comprise the government of the people.
I firmly agree. I mean, there's endless stories about, very high performing kids. And I'm not just talking about white kids, it's Asian kids. It's all different types of kids that through the coveted idea of meritocracy, they believe that if they work as hard as humanly possible, they're going to get the opportunity to challenge, right? To get in the arena, so to speak. And how soon did you start seeing this? Like, how far back does this go in your mind?
Anecdotally, I felt it as a student, applying to colleges, applying to graduate schools, applying for fellowships and scholarships. I went to public school in New Jersey. I paid my way through school, 100% financed on my own, between cash, working as a landscaper and a bar back and a bouncer. I basically literally landscaping by day and bar fighting at night.
Wow.
Paid cash, took loans for the rest of it. Took me 25 years to pay off those loans by virtue of support from the National Institute of Health grants I received. But, I felt like, and I'm sure that this is something that has resonated with a lot of people, that no matter how hard you work, like, it still seemed boxed out along that journey. I would sit in classes at Princeton for 5 years, learning all sorts of things from their visiting speakers and college wrestler. I was a finalist for the Rhodes Scholarship in New Jersey in 2004. I actually got interviewed by Cory Booker for it. But yeah, he was the mayor in Newark at the time.
Right.
And, so no matter what we were doing, even at that point, so people need to unpack and the idea that's very fresh. The last 15 months or so, affirmative action was deemed illegal, but for generations beforehand, that was the law of the land. People
standard.
thought it wasn't just good, but it was merited and, like proper. And so you're always essentially racing against quotas.
Mm-hmm. Is there a component to the initial construct of the idea that underprivileged, what are they called? Underprivileged, underserved, serviced minorities in areas, in particular academic, right? That there really is an unfair system in place. Is there truth to that at all?
Yes, if you consider the promotion of any one race over another to be unfair.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I wasn't alive in previous eras,
right?
But I'm very easily convinced, I have no doubt that they absolutely were subjected to discrimination. Right. And I think discrimination's wrong, but I think discrimination of anyone is wrong. And that's part of the answer to your question of what's wrong with DEI. It discriminates. And this isn't from me, by the way. This is coming from executive orders from the White House, the Department of Justice Office of Civil Rights, mm-hmm. and the United States Supreme Court, which has said it is wrong to do this and to discriminate upon anyone. Racism is not a cure for racism. Right. It's not the fix. It's the problem. And so that's one of the problems that's wrong with it. And I grew up on public housing in Chicago. We had $1 a month rent. My mom was a single mom, and then I switched. I lived with a single dad. Like we came from poorness.
Right.
We were on food stamps. We were on government services, and there is a really valuable place, I think, for supporting people from underserved backgrounds. Mm-hmm. But, that doesn't mean that the manifestation of how these policies have emerged is correct, because mm-hmm. it's not. And that's not me saying that. That's the Office of Civil Rights from the Department of Justice.
100%. Yeah.
And anybody who's, had a sniff of culture over the last stretch of years mm-hmm. has seen how this has gone awry. Right. It's been used incorrectly. I've personally seen it on campus, weaponized in many different ways. I've had students complain that I address a room full of women as ladies. Hey, mm-hmm. ladies, are you ready for class today? Majority of women in class. They say that's gender stereotypes.
Right.
You can't control someone's speech to that extent, while earlier telling me I shouldn't say you guys, which is the standard plural way of addressing
right.
that.
You said that too on your interview with James too, is that you talked about the guys commentary as well
it's
too.
Absurd.